Yes, folks, we are in this mother. What's going on, folks? Your guy, Tommy Gahan, TG here for Tommy Talk. I'm calling it. I'm saying it. I know I said this before. I'm saying it now. Once and for all, this is the premiere of Tommy Talk. No more Ice Cold Sports, RIP Ice Cold Sports, and no Tommy Talk Sports. Throw that out the window, too. This is Tommy Talk. Straight up, I'm telling you. I'm excited. I've been meaning to do this for a long time. I wanted to do a show where I could really talk the talk and walk the walk, not just go, oh, well, I saw this one stat and this and that and this and that. No offense to my guy, Zach Lyons. He's going to be on the show too, but I'll be directing him to be more loose, more loosey-goosey, and get it going freely, nicely flowing, little state of mind, little, kind of mind flow kind of stuff going on. That's what we want here for Tommy Talk. Tommy Talk is still going to be mostly sports, but it is Tommy Talk. Thank you all for listening to the true beginning of a new chapter. I'm happy to have you all here. And let's just hop right into it. A big weekend. I want to start with, obviously, the big game from Sunday night. I'm not sure if there's a people in the United States, at least a sports fan base, I feel worse for than the city of Buffalo. And that comes from, just sports teams and way of life when it comes down to it. Imagine for a second you are from Buffalo, New York. The weather sucks. It snows like 20,000 feet a year. I mean, I swear to God, every year it looks like they have their cars get buried in snow, literally. I mean, you think snow wherever you live is bad. Buffalo just gets like as much snow as anywhere in the world. And it's cold as all get out. It used to be a factory town, not anymore. Now it's all those jobs are gone. It's all like tech jobs now. It's not a huge city. You know what they got? The Sabres? No. Awful team, awful franchise there. What they got is the Bills. They got the Buffalo Bills. And there is no franchise in NFL history that has been as close to greatness and then not lived up to the hype. There's been no franchise that's gone to 4 straight Super Bowls except for the Buffalo Bills. And now they have one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. They have a great head coach. They got a bunch of talent. They have what it takes. They went on a hot streak, an absolute heater to end the season. I thought this was the year for the Buffalo Bills. I really did think so. And then on Sunday night, it all fell apart. Let's start off with that fake punt. What the hell were you doing? All right? What the hell were you doing? I guess it's a nice wrinkle to throw in Damar Hamlin there, but why? Why put in Damar Hamlin at all? I mean, listen, what happened to him last year obviously was terrible. He's going to win Comeback Player of the Year, and deservedly so. When you die and come back to life, you deserve to win Comeback Player of the Year. There's no question about that. But I mean, why did you need to throw him in? He's going to get the award at the end of the season. Why are you throwing him in right here, right now? He didn't play most of the games this season because he's not a good player. Why are you throwing him in to do a fake punt when you have Josh freaking Allen that you could just go for on 4th down? He can look down the field. Oh, nothing there? Let me run with it because that's what Josh Allen does. But instead, you put a huge moment in the game on the shoulders of Damar Hamlin? Are you kidding me? What? That was bad decision-making overall altogether. Then, of course, the missed kick. I mean, listen, it's obviously shades of Norwood. I mean, just an absolute kick to the gonads. I was watching with my good friend Ryan. Shout out Ryan. And right before he kicked it, like, man, imagine if he misses this. And he missed it. Thanks a lot, Ryan. Thanks a lot. And honestly, and look, listen, a lot will be put on the fact that the Chiefs are that good. The Chiefs are that good. And Patrick Mahomes is that good. That he has a substandard team this year. He has substandard receivers, and they're still doing this stuff. They're still making it to the AFC Championship game. His first ever away playoff game, and he wins it. But I'm not going to accept that as like, oh, it was all on Patrick Mahomes. He's the one who did it. No, it was more Buffalo losing that game than it was the Chiefs winning that game because Buffalo had their shots in that game. They absolutely had their shots, and they BLEW blew it. They blew it. It sucked to watch. I think all of America was rooting for the Buffalo Bills and against the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't even hate the Chiefs that much compared to some people. Some people I see despise the Chiefs, even though they don't have any divisional rivals to the Chiefs that they're fans of, but they just hate the Chiefs. I don't even hate the Chiefs that much. I like Andy Reid. I mean, I'm not someone who's complaining. I'm not one of these dudes that's going out like, why are they showing Taylor Swift so much? I don't care. I don't care. Cool. Travis Kelce's dating Taylor Swift. Who cares? It's a cool storyline. It helps keep the NFL relevant. My friend Noah texted me during the game. He's like, doesn't it look like the NFL fell off? No, doesn't it feel like it? No one's talking about it as much anymore. What are you talking about? Once Taylor Swift started dating Travis Kelce, it was the biggest thing in all of the planet. It was all over the news. It was all over the news. There's much more important things in the news to be covering, but we were all talking about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. How is the NFL falling off when this stuff is going on? And Taylor Swift is so huge, she doesn't need to be doing PR stunts. So I don't know. Not the point. The point is, everyone hates the Chiefs now. And, when you're, king of the castle, it makes sense. People are going to hate you. People hated Brady. I didn't like Brady very much when he was winning all those championships. You can't act like now that he's the GOAT. It's like when Michael Jordan was winning championships. You were saying, most people didn't like him. They hated him. They respected him, but they hated him. Same thing goes for Brady, although the cheating scandals kind of also tainted that a little bit. But the same thing goes for Mahomes, who I think at this point, if he sails on this track, probably will be the GOAT. But no matter what we're saying about that kind of stuff, it was not the Chiefs winning as much as it was the Bills losing on Sunday night, and I will stand with that. I'll stand with that because if they should have won that game, which makes it that much more heartbreaking for the good, old-fashioned, snow shoveling all the time people of Buffalo jumping into tables and catching themselves on fire. There was another video that showed that before the game on Sunday, and it was crazy. The guy caught on fire. The guy's friend was pouring lighter fluid on him, and he caught on fire even more. Wild stuff going on in Buffalo. Sadly, won't see that again until next season. What are you going to do? Speaking of games that should have been won by one team, let's talk about the Packers losing to the 49ers. Now, this game, people will come away saying, well, it's all a moral victory for the Packers. They lost 24-21, by the way. It's all a moral victory for the Packers. They weren't supposed to be here. They weren't supposed to be here in the first place. So, it's all playing with house money. Youngest team in the NFL. Incredible year by Jordan Love, all that stuff. And I get it. I'm a Bears fan. So obviously everyone's going to take this with a grain of salt. But I'm going to pour a little water, on your parade here. If I'm a Packers fan and I'm a Jordan Love backer. Because Jordan Love on Saturday night had a chance to become a playoff legend, to slay the dragon that is the 49ers that has been plaguing the Packers for years and is the best team in the NFC, at least talent-wise. He had a chance. He had the chance. And it was not only that. It was one thing if they were outclassed in that game completely. But they should have won that game. Anyone who watched that game, going into that fourth quarter, and you thought that the 49ers were going to win, you were crazy. And yet, Jordan Love throws those two interceptions, including that horrendous interception on first down. With plenty of time on the clock to get down the field and get a field goal to tie the dang game. Instead, he throws an absolute stunner of an interception across his body, falling down. It was disastrous. A disastrous fourth quarter for Jordan Love. And yet the question has to be asked, is this what you're going to get from Jordan Love all the time? The big moment comes. Can you rely on him? I don't know. It felt like Aaron Rodgers. And again, Aaron Rodgers failed the playoffs like this too. But it felt like Aaron Rodgers, I saw a lot of times in the playoffs where, it came down to crunch time and he made it happen. He didn't fold up, played well in the first part of the game, then fold up at the end when they needed him. Maybe he didn't play that well a whole game. I don't know. But the point is, it felt like in that drive, Aaron Rodgers would have gone right down that field and tied that ball game up at least. Instead, Jordan Love throws an interception. Some people are asking, was this a Linsanity run? I saw some people on Twitter, some good people on Twitter saying, was this a Linsanity run? Good old Linsanity run by Jordan Love? Am I just coping? Maybe I am. Maybe I am. Some people are saying that Jordan Love is just the poor man's Caleb Williams. Hey, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. Caleb Williams hasn't played in the NFL yet. For all we know, it could be a ridiculous comparison. It could be ridiculous. Jordan Love could be, so far behind Caleb Williams that even comparing the two would be ridiculous. And this was an insanity run, so it doesn't even matter. But whatever. They should have won that game. They should have won that game. And anyone saying, well, they had a good season anyway, guys. No, that's loser talk because they should have won that game. They should have won that game. They should have gone to Detroit next week to play the Lions, a team they've already beaten this year, for a chance to go to the Super Bowl. They had the chance to go to the Super Bowl. Instead, he blew it. He blew it. He blew it. And that could set the tone for the rest of his career. I'm just saying. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Talking about Detroit. And this is another game from Sunday. And I want to talk about this. Some people have pointed it out. Some people, some heroes on the internet did see this. Me and the fellas watching the game noticed this. Did Todd Bowles know he had a timeout at the end of that game? Did he? Did he know? Because at the end of the game, the Lions, who for some reason were not running out the clock properly, need the ball. And it was, it was going to be fourth down. The Buccaneers could have called timeout, forced the Lions to kick a field goal or to punt it, and then, taking their chances. And Todd Bowles after the game said something like, well, they could have kicked the field goal and the game would have been over anyway. Wrong. Bad answer. Because if they miss the field goal or they don't go with the field goal or for whatever, then you have like 30 seconds left to go down the field and maybe have a chance. Even if you don't have that much, if the chance is that small, at least you get a chance. I've seen crazier things happen. It's literally just throwing the towel in. You got to believe that they just didn't know. They didn't know. John Rich from Barstool, shout out John Rich, pointed out the fact that there's a good chance that he didn't know he had a timeout left because the penalty caused a timeout to come back to the Buccaneers. Maybe he thought he was out of timeouts. But still, you got to know this stuff because that could have been the difference. For all we know, I mean, we saw earlier this year, or at least, earlier this football season, we saw a college team run the ball and fumble it instead of kneeing it down and then lose the game, aka what Georgia Tech did to Miami, which was an incredible ending. If that can happen in this modern day and age, why couldn't the Buccaneers have gotten the ball back and maybe had a chance? Maybe had a chance. Remember the Minnesota Miracle? But we don't even want to try because there's no time left. We're not going to try doing that. We're not going to try doing that. And I get it, Minnesota lost the next game, but we wouldn't have had that moment if someone didn't just say, well, let's at least try. And they didn't try. Lions, hey, good for the Lions. I'm happy for them. Happy for the people of Detroit. They're going to go to the NFC Championship game, first time since the early 90s. They're going to have a chance to go into the Super Bowl, first time ever. I don't love the Lions, obviously, as a Bears fan. And part of me doesn't really want them going to a Super Bowl. And I'm not going to be rooting for them on Sunday because I'm pledging my allegiance to the Niners. They gave me the greatest Christmas gift, the late Christmas gift of all, which was beating the Packers, which was beautiful and incredible. So I have to ride with them going forward. I have no other choice at this point, especially now that the Bills, who I was rooting for, is out of the playoffs. So go Niners. But good for the Lions. Hey, after all these years of same old Lions, another Lions, Zach Lyons, tried to say that Dan Campbell will be no different when he saw that the kneecap tearing off speech from his his opening press conference. He said in our group chat, just another bonehead coach kind of guy. No, any real ball knowers saw that and said, okay, this guy can rally the troops, and he's rallied the troops. It's hard to not say that Dan Campbell has not changed the culture in Detroit, and some people have tried to hate on them, hate on my man. They shouldn't be because he is something as a head coach. Truly is. He had never ball plays before he came to Detroit, and people were saying that was something against him, but he was a leader of men, and that's what matters. In the end of the day, that's what really matters in coaching. At least, ball knowers know that. I'll say that. All right, next topic, and this is one that everyone's talking about right now, the last 24 hours. Iowa, women's basketball, number 2 in the nation, took on Ohio State on Sunday, number 12 Ohio State, and Ohio State pulled off the victory in overtime. Everyone goes crazy, rah, rah, rah. They won 192 at home, and the fans stormed the court. Stormed the court for a women's basketball game. Pretty good, pretty nice. Then, during the court storming, Caitlin Clark, All-American, huge celebrity in women's basketball and all across, the sports world. She's doing State Farm commercials. She's doing all this stuff. She gets run into by a fan. Her and a fan collide. And she falls down and she's limping into the locker room, stuff like that. And we see the faraway angle and we see the news and we say, oh my gosh, this is awful. This is bad. It makes court storming look bad, And then later on, we get the footage, the close-up footage. We get the Zapruder film on this case. And in the Zapruder film, it shows unquestionably that Caitlin Clark was running off. She was running in. She could have avoided the collision, and she pushed off. She pushed off back and to the left, back and to the left. She pushed off this young lady. And then after she pushed off, she does the little twirl around, the little ice cream swirl, and she flops right to the ground. Flops right to the ground. Insanity. The game's over and she's flopping to the ground. Now, and obviously, people shouldn't speculate. People shouldn't speculate in situations like this. But if it was to speculate, and I'm not, but if I was, I would say that, she hit this girl. She ran into this girl, instinctively. When you collide with someone, she was trying to protect herself, pushed off, pushed her down, and then realizing that, this doesn't look great, she kind of tried to save face and did the little swirl and fell down and said, oh, no. Oh, I fell too. I was run into by a fan. And I saw announcers after this coming out and saying, this is terrible. This is why people shouldn't storm courts. And Matt Painter a few weeks ago came out and was like, we need to be protecting the players from these court stormings. And listen, if you think that officials should take a better role in stopping the game before it hits 0 seconds, getting the opposing team off the court, starting the game, and then letting the fan storm, or having extra security around the opposing team, or whatever, fine. That makes sense. I'm not saying it doesn't. They should have seen this coming, that makes sense. However, the idea that I hate court storming, it's so terrible, why was she running on the court in the first place? Because this is college basketball. This is college basketball, and this is tradition, and this is fun. This is fun. These are kids in college. This is supposed to be fun. And it's no bigger wet blanket than when certain arenas and the SEC come out and are like, nope. You don't get to storm the court. No. This is a professional type environment. We're not letting you storm the court. Come on. Are you kidding me? These are college kids. They're having fun. This is supposed to be fun. And I feel like it's just the demonization of fun. I get it. The players, you're trying to look out for the players and stuff like that. But this is a crucial part to college basketball, the mystique of college basketball, the mystique of college sports. So that's all I have to say. I just don't like people taking the advantage of this situation to try to demonize court storming, especially when it wasn't the wave of fans running into Caitlin Clark. It was fans on the court, one fan running onto the court, recording it with her phone, and then Caitlin Clark on an angle. If this was a car accident, Caitlin Clark will be at fault, by the way. If you understand how car accidents work and how it works, with fault in that kind of situation, it would have been Caitlin Clark's fault. And she pushed off. Not a great look for her. Not a great look. People saw it online and gave their reaction. Some people are refusing to acknowledge it, whatever. But I think that it's pretty clear court storming should not be demonized in this situation whatsoever. Protect court storming, protect college traditions, keep college sports fun, even in this time of NIL, even all this time and all these things getting thrown around. Let's keep college sports fun and keep court storming a part of college sports. It's a expression of joy and happiness. Joy and happiness. I'll be the first one to say that if any harm happens to an opposing player, that's terrible and awful. That person should be prosecuted and all this kind of stuff. In this situation, it was pretty clear that it just wasn't the case. It was all incidental, and it was pretty clear where the real contact came from. All right? I'm going to say that. finally, little Bears update for the good people. Shane Waldron hired as the offensive coordinator for the Bears. I was starting to hype myself up on Cliff Kingsbury. Cliff Kingsbury, big name, when cool seeing him, in the Bears attire. It would have been a cool thing. He's cool. He's the cool, handsome guy. But they bring in Shane Waldron instead. Now, Shane Waldron, I think it's a good hire. Obviously not as big of a name as Cliff Kingsbury, but he doesn't come with some of the baggage of Cliff Kingsbury. He's known for shaping offenses around quarterbacks. He turned Geno Smith. Here's a fun fact for you. Geno Smith, 8,000 yards the last 2 years. 8,000 yards. The Chicago Bears have never had a quarterback to get 4,000 yards in a season. And Geno dang Smith averaged 4,000 yards in 2 straight seasons. I mean, what else do you got to say? That is monumentally better than anything the Bears have had as of late. And he did it with, I think, a lot of substandard pieces, comparatively speaking, in Seattle, which is probably a need for a rebuild. I don't think they should have gotten rid of Pete Carroll, but whatever. That's the only reason he's on the market, is because Pete Carroll got pushed out by the Seattle brass. So good hire by the Bears, at least from my perspective. I think the Bears are going to go and get Caleb Williams in the draft. I think that's pretty clear. Even though they're not going the Cliff Kingsbury route, it just seems like from everything I'm hearing, it is Caleb Williams. I'm excited. And I like Justin Fields, and I've been Mr. Flip-Flopper about Justin Fields. But, as a Bears fan, we are allowed to flip-flop because this is a decision that's going to determine our franchise for a billion years, and we need to know that everything's going to be all right. I think the Bears can get a lot for Justin Fields in a trade, by the way. Mel Kiper Jr. said they'd get like the 8 pick. That would be incredible. Having the 1, 8, and 9 pick, Ryan Poles could be a magician. A magician if he gets that done. And you know what? Maybe take those 2 picks, 8 and 9, trade up a little bit. Maybe get a little Marvin Harrison Jr. Or you keep him, you get Malik Neighbors, and then you bring in an offensive line guy, whoever you think at the top there is the best. We'll have a more in-depth draft analysis coming up very soon. But that's my 2 cents. I think the Bears probably did a good job with this, but it's a wait and see. I think that it's still going to be Caleb Williams, even though it's not Cliff Kingsbury coming in here. In any case, folks, thank you all for watching and or listening. Please subscribe to Tommy Talk on Apple Podcasts, to Tommy Gahan on YouTube. That's the YouTube channel. It's no longer Ice Cold Sports or Tommy Talk, whatever it is. It's my name. I'm going to be doing other videos, other content, other stuff like that. We're going to have a lot of fun with this. This is fun. We're having fun. Tommy Talk. A little story, background. It's been a name I have been throwing out there since I was a little kid, really, because as you can imagine, with how I'm talking, I thought of the name Tommy Talk would be a great name for a show for a long time. And then, of course, I did Ice Cold Sports, and I tried to do Tommy Talk Sports there for 2 episodes, which, whatever. And I was like, you know what? Tommy Talk. I'm just going to jump right in. Subscribe at Tommy SGHAN on all social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok in particular. And a lot of these Tommy Talk things are going to be on my TikTok account. Let's boost that up. Let's boost everything up and make this something special. Thank you all for watching and or listening. My name is Tommy Gann, and this is Tommy Talk. See you guys.